Emma wakes up early, feeling excited. Today is the day she will travel to a new country. She has been planning this trip for months and is ready for the adventure. The sun is shining, and the weather is perfect for her journey. Emma quickly gets out of bed and starts her morning routine. She brushes her teeth, washes her face, and combs her hair. She chooses comfortable clothes to wear for the long trip ahead. Her suitcase is already packed and waiting by the door. In the kitchen, Emma makes a quick breakfast. She prepares toast with butter and pours herself a glass of orange juice. As she eats, she checks her travel documents one more time. Her passport, ticket, and hotel confirmation are all in her bag. After breakfast, Emma takes a deep breath. She feels a mix of excitement and nervousness about her trip. She looks around her house to make sure she hasn't forgotten anything. Then, she picks up her suitcase and heads out the door. Emma calls a taxi to take her to the airport. The taxi arrives quickly, and she loads her suitcase into the trunk. The driver greets her with a smile and asks where she is going. Emma tells him she is traveling to Paris, and the driver wishes her a safe journey. The ride to the airport is smooth and quick. Emma looks out the window and watches the city pass by. She thinks about all the wonderful things she will see and do in Paris. Her heart races with excitement as the airport comes into view. When Emma arrives at the airport, she feels a little overwhelmed. The airport is busy with people rushing to catch their flights. Emma takes a deep breath and reminds herself to stay calm. She follows the signs to the check-in counter. At the check-in counter, Emma gives her passport and ticket to the airline staff. They smile and confirm her flight details. They also weigh her suitcase and attach a tag to it. Emma feels relieved when they hand her a boarding pass and wish her a good trip. Next, Emma heads to the security checkpoint. She places her bag, shoes, and jacket on a conveyor belt. The security officer asks her to walk through the scanner, and everything goes smoothly. Emma collects her belongings and continues on her way. With time to spare, Emma decides to explore the airport. She walks past shops selling souvenirs, books, and snacks. She stops at a cafe to buy a cup of coffee. Sitting at a table, she sips her coffee and watches planes take off and land outside the window. Finally, it is time for Emma to board her flight. She hears the announcement for her flight to Paris and gathers her things. She walks to the gate and shows her boarding pass to the staff. They smile and direct her to the plane. Emma finds her seat near the window and settles in. She stores her bag under the seat in front of her and fastens her seatbelt. As the plane starts to move, Emma feels a mix of excitement and nervousness again. She takes a deep breath and smiles. The plane takes off smoothly, and Emma looks out the window. The city below gets smaller and smaller as the plane climbs higher. Emma feels amazed as she sees the clouds up close. She thinks about how incredible it is to fly. During the flight, Emma spends time reading a book. The story keeps her entertained and makes the time pass quickly. The flight attendant serves snacks and drinks, and Emma chooses a sandwich and some juice. She enjoys her meal while watching the clouds outside. As the flight continues, Emma feels a little tired. She adjusts her seat and closes her eyes for a short nap. The hum of the airplane engine helps her relax. She dreams about all the exciting things she will do in Paris. After a few hours, the captain announces that they are about to land. Emma wakes up and looks out the window. She can see the lights of Paris shining brightly below. Her excitement grows as the plane gets closer to the ground. The plane lands smoothly, and Emma feels a rush of happiness. She is finally in Paris, a city she has always dreamed of visiting. She waits patiently as other passengers gather their belongings. When it is her turn, she stands up and grabs her bag. Emma follows the signs to the baggage claim area. She waits at the carousel for her suitcase to arrive. When she sees it, she feels relieved and quickly takes it. With her suitcase in hand, she heads to the exit. Outside the airport, Emma feels the cool evening breeze. She takes a moment to soak in the atmosphere of Paris. Everything feels new and exciting to her. She looks around and finds a taxi waiting nearby. Emma tells the taxi driver the name of her hotel. The driver nods and starts driving through the city. Emma looks out the window and sees the Eiffel Tower in the distance. She can't believe she is finally here. The taxi ride is peaceful, and Emma feels grateful for this moment. She reaches her hotel and checks in at the reception desk. The staff greets her warmly and gives her the key to her room. Emma thanks them and takes the elevator to her floor. When Emma enters her room, she feels happy and tired. She places her suitcase near the bed and looks around. The room is cozy and has a beautiful view of the city. Emma sits on the bed and takes a deep breath. Emma decides to freshen up before going to sleep. She changes into her pajamas and washes her face. She feels relaxed and ready for a good night's rest. She sets an alarm on her phone and climbs into bed. As Emma lies in bed, she thinks about her journey so far. She feels proud of herself for taking this big step. She knows tomorrow will be full of adventures in Paris. With a smile on her face, Emma falls asleep. Emma wakes up to the soft light of the morning sun streaming through her window. She feels refreshed and excited for her first day in Paris. She gets out of bed and opens the curtains to see the beautiful view of the city. The Eiffel Tower glimmers in the distance, and she can't wait to explore. Emma heads to the bathroom to start her morning routine. She brushes her teeth, washes her face, and combs her hair. She decides to wear her favorite outfit, a comfortable dress and sneakers for walking. Her plan is to explore as many places as she can today. Downstairs in the hotel dining area, Emma enjoys a delicious breakfast. She chooses a croissant, some fresh fruit, and a cup of hot coffee. The croissant is warm and buttery, and Emma savors every bite. She reads a small travel guide as she eats, planning her route for the day. Her first stop is the Eiffel Tower, one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Emma takes a taxi to the tower and feels a sense of awe as she sees it up close. The structure is even more magnificent than she imagined, towering high into the sky. Emma buys a ticket to go up the Eiffel Tower. She takes the elevator, which moves smoothly to the top. As she steps out, she is greeted by a breathtaking view of Paris. She can see the river Seine, the streets lined with trees, and the rooftops of the city. She takes out her phone and snaps some photos to capture the moment. Emma smiles as she thinks about sharing these pictures with her friends and family. The cool breeze at the top of the tower makes her feel calm and happy. After spending some time at the Eiffel Tower, Emma decides to explore the nearby Champs de Mars Park. The park is filled with colorful flowers, green grass, and people enjoying the sunny day. Emma finds a bench to sit on and watches children play and couples walk hand in hand. Next, Emma visits the Louvre Museum, another famous place in Paris. The museum is home to many beautiful works of art, including the Mona Lisa. Emma stands in line to buy a ticket and feels excited as she enters the grand building. Inside the Louvre, Emma is amazed by the paintings and sculptures around her. She walks through the large halls, taking her time to admire each piece. When she finally sees the Mona Lisa, she feels a sense of wonder. The painting is smaller than she expected, but it is truly beautiful. Emma continues exploring the museum for a few hours. She feels inspired by the art and the history of the place. She takes a break at the museum cafe and enjoying a light lunch and reflecting on everything she has seen. After leaving the museum, Emma strolls along the river Seine. The river sparkles under the afternoon sun, and boats float gently on the water. She decides to take a short boat tour to see more of the city. On the boat, Emma listens to the guide talk about the history of Paris. She learns interesting facts about the bridges and buildings they pass. The tour is peaceful, and Emma feels relaxed as she takes in the beauty of the city from the water. In the evening, Emma heads to Montmartre, a charming neighborhood known for its art and culture. The streets are narrow and lined with small shops and cafes. Emma walks slowly, enjoying the lively atmosphere and the sound of street musicians. At the top of Montmartre, Emma reaches the Sacré-Cœur, or Basilica. The white church looks stunning against the darkening sky. Emma climbs the steps and is rewarded with another incredible view of Paris. She sits on the steps for a while, listening to a man play the guitar. The music is soft and soothing, and Emma feels at peace. She thinks about how magical this city is and how happy she is to be here. For dinner, Emma chooses a small restaurant nearby. She orders a classic French meal of onion soup and a slice of quiche. The food is delicious, and Emma takes her time to enjoy every bite. She feels grateful for this wonderful day. After dinner, Emma decides to take a slow walk back to her hotel. The streets are lit with warm yellow lights, and the city feels alive. She passes by bakeries, bookstores, and flower shops, all glowing in the evening light. Back at her hotel, Emma feels tired but happy. She takes a warm shower to relax and changes into her pajamas. She looks at the photos she took during the day and smiles. Each picture reminds her of the special moments she experienced. Emma writes a short entry in her travel journal before going to bed. She describes the sights, sounds, and feelings of her first day in Paris. She knows this is a memory she will treasure forever. As Emma lies in bed, she thinks about her plans for tomorrow. There are still so many places she wants to visit and things she wants to do. With a heart full of joy, Emma closes her eyes and drifts off to sleep. Emma wakes up feeling excited about her next adventure in France. Today, she plans to visit the Palace of Versailles, a grand and historic landmark just outside Paris. The morning sunlight streams through her window as she gets ready for the day. She picks a comfortable outfit, knowing she'll be walking a lot. After a quick breakfast at the hotel, Emma heads to the train station. The station is busy, filled with travelers speaking different languages. She buys her ticket and finds the right platform. The train arrives, and Emma finds a seat by the window. The ride to Versailles is peaceful. Emma watches the scenery change from the bustling streets of Paris to the quiet suburbs. The trees and small houses along the way make her smile. She feels curious about what lies ahead. When Emma arrives in Versailles, she follows the signs to the palace. The walk is short, and soon she sees the golden gates of the palace shining in the sun. The sight takes her breath away. The palace looks like something out of a fairy tale. Emma buys her ticket and joins a small group of tourists entering the palace. The grand entrance hall is filled with marble floors, tall ceilings, and sparkling chandeliers. Emma takes a moment to admire the beauty around her. The tour guide begins to explain the history of the palace. Emma learns that it was once the home of French kings and queens. The guide talks about King Louis XV, who made the palace famous. Emma listens carefully, fascinated by the stories. Inside the palace, Emma walks through the Hall of Mirrors. The long hall is lined with large mirrors on one side and tall windows on the other. Crystal chandeliers hang from the ceiling, and the sunlight makes everything sparkle. Emma feels like she is walking through history. The next room is the king's bedroom. The walls are covered in rich fabric, and the bed is large with golden details. The guide explains how the king's daily routine was full of ceremonies and traditions. Emma finds it interesting to learn about life in the past. Emma also visits the Queen's apartments. The rooms are elegant and colorful, with beautiful paintings on the walls. Emma imagines what it must have been like to live here as a queen. She feels a mix of wonder and curiosity. After exploring the palace, Emma heads outside to see the gardens. The gardens of Versailles are huge, with neatly trimmed hedges, fountains, and statues. The air smells fresh, and Emma enjoys the peaceful atmosphere. She walks along the gravel paths, taking her time to admire the flowers and trees. The fountains are especially beautiful, with water flowing gracefully. Emma takes a few pictures to remember this moment. Emma finds a small cafe in the garden and decides to take a break. She orders a cup of tea and a sweet pastry. Sitting under a shady tree, Emma feels relaxed and happy. She thinks about how lucky she is to experience this place. In the afternoon, Emma visits the Grand Trianon, a smaller palace on the grounds of Versailles. The pink marble building is charming and less crowded. Emma enjoys the quiet as she explores the rooms. She also visits the Petit Trianon, which was Queen Marie Antoinette's private retreat. The small palace feels cozy and personal. Emma learns about Marie Antoinette's life and the challenges she faced as a queen. Near the Petit Trianon, Emma discovers a small village built by Marie Antoinette. The village looks like something out of a storybook, with tiny cottages, gardens, and a pond. Emma feels like she has stepped back in time. As the day comes to an end, Emma makes her way back to the main palace. She takes one last look at the golden gates and the beautiful gardens. She feels grateful for the chance to visit such an amazing place. On the train ride back to Paris, Emma reflects on her day. She thinks about all the history she learned and the beauty she saw. She feels inspired and excited for what tomorrow will bring. When Emma reaches her hotel, she feels tired but content. She takes a warm shower and changes into her pajamas. She writes a long entry in her travel journal, describing every detail of her visit to Versailles. Emma looks at the pictures she took during the day. Each photo reminds her of a special moment. She smiles and feels proud of herself for exploring and learning so much. Before going to bed, Emma sets her alarm for the next day. She has more adventures planned and can't wait to see what's next. With a heart full of memories, Emma closes her eyes and falls asleep. Emma wakes up feeling refreshed and ready for a new day in Paris. Today, her plan is to explore Montmartre, a historic and artistic neighborhood, and end the evening with a peaceful cruise on the Seine River. The thought of visiting such iconic places fills her with excitement. After enjoying a quick breakfast at her hotel, Emma grabs her small backpack and heads out. She takes the metro to Montmartre, a charming area known for its narrow streets and bohemian vibe. As she steps off the train, she immediately feels the unique energy of the place. Emma begins her walk up the hill toward the Basilica of Sacré-Cœur. The cobblestone streets are lined with small shops and cafes and colorful flowers. She notices artists painting on the sidewalks, their work capturing scenes of Paris. Emma stops for a moment to admire their talent. When Emma reaches the top of the hill, she sees the magnificent white dome of Sacré-Cœur. The basilica stands tall, overlooking the city. Emma takes a deep breath and walks inside. The air is quiet, and the beauty of the stained glass windows takes her breath away. After spending some time inside the basilica, Emma steps out to enjoy the view. From the hill, she can see the entire city of Paris. The Eiffel Tower stands proudly in the distance, and the rooftops stretch as far as the eye can see. Emma feels a sense of peace and wonder. Next, Emma explores the streets of Montmartre. She visits Place du Tertre, a lively square filled with artists and tourists. The square is full of life, with painters creating portraits and street musicians playing cheerful tunes. Emma decides to buy a small painting as a souvenir. Feeling hungry, Emma finds a quaint little cafe nearby. She orders a croissant and a cup of coffee. The cafe has a cozy atmosphere, with soft music playing in the background. Emma sits by the window, watching people pass by. After her meal, Emma continues to explore Montmartre. She visits a small museum dedicated to the history of the neighborhood. The museum tells the story of Montmartre's artistic past, including famous painters like Picasso and Van Gogh who once lived there. Emma stumbles upon the Wall of Love, a unique attraction in Montmartre. The wall is covered in the phrase, "I love you," written in over 300 languages. Emma takes a picture in front of the wall, feeling the universal message of love and connection. As the afternoon turns into evening, Emma makes her way back to the Seine River for her boat cruise. She has been looking forward to this part of the day. The river sparkles under the setting sun, and the air is cool and refreshing. Emma boards the boat and finds a seat on the open deck. The boat slowly begins its journey, gliding gently along the river. The city lights start to twinkle, and the Eiffel Tower comes into view, glowing beautifully in the night. The cruise takes Emma past some of Paris's most famous landmarks. She sees Notre Dame Cathedral, its Gothic architecture lit up against the dark sky. The guide on the boat shares interesting facts about each landmark, and Emma listens intently. The Louvre Museum looks magical at night, with its glass pyramid glowing softly. Emma thinks about how incredible it is to see these iconic places from a different perspective. The gentle movement of the boat adds to the relaxing experience. As the boat approaches the Eiffel Tower, it begins to sparkle with thousands of lights. The sight is breathtaking, and Emma feels like she is in a dream. She takes a video to capture the moment, knowing she'll want to remember this forever. The cruise ends near the Pont Alexandre Gazet, one of the most beautiful bridges in Paris. Emma steps off the boat, feeling calm and inspired. She takes a moment to admire the bridge, its golden statues shining under the streetlights. Emma decides to end her evening with a leisurely walk along the riverbank. The city feels peaceful at night, with fewer people around. She hears the gentle sound of the water and the distant hum of the city. Back at her hotel, Emma feels grateful for such a wonderful day. She writes about her adventures in her journal, describing the beauty of Montmartre and the magic of the Seine River. She feels proud of herself for exploring new places and making unforgettable memories. As she gets ready for bed, Emma thinks about all the amazing experiences she has had so far. She smiles, feeling excited for tomorrow's adventure. With a heart full of joy, she closes her eyes and falls asleep, dreaming of the wonders that await her. Emma wakes up early on her last full day in France, excited to visit the Palace of Versailles. She has read so much about its history and beauty, and now she finally has the chance to see it for herself. After a quick breakfast at her hotel, she sets out for the day. Emma takes the RER train to Versailles, a short ride from Paris. The journey is comfortable, and she enjoys looking out the window as the city transitions to the suburbs. Arriving at the station, she follows the signs to the palace. She sees other tourists heading in the same direction, their excitement matching hers. As Emma approaches the Palace of Versailles, she is struck by its grandeur. The golden gates shine brightly in the sunlight, and the size of the palace is overwhelming. She takes a moment to appreciate the incredible architecture before heading inside. Emma enters the palace and picks up an audio guide to learn more about its history. She starts her tour in the Hall of Mirrors, one of the most famous rooms in Versailles. The long hallway is lined with sparkling mirrors and crystal chandeliers. Emma walks slowly, taking in the beauty around her. The audio guide explains the significance of the Hall of Mirrors, where important treaties were signed and grand events were held. Emma feels connected to the history of the place, imagining the people who once walked these halls. Next, Emma visits the king's grand apartment. The rooms are decorated with rich fabrics, detailed paintings, and ornate furniture. Each room tells a story about the life of King Louis XV, who transformed Versailles into the magnificent palace it is today. Emma's favorite part of the tour is the Queen's apartment, where Marie Antoinette once lived. The rooms are elegant and feminine, with soft colors and intricate designs. Emma learns about the Queen's life and her influence on fashion and culture. After exploring the palace, Emma steps outside to visit the gardens. The gardens of Versailles are vast and perfectly manicured, with fountains, statues, and colorful flowers. Emma feels like she has stepped into a fairy tale as she walks through the winding paths. She finds a quiet spot near a fountain and takes a break. The sound of the water is soothing, and the fresh air fills her lungs. Emma takes out her journal and writes about her experiences so far. She feels inspired by the beauty of nature and history surrounding her. Emma decides to explore more of the estate, including the Trianon Palaces and Marie Antoinette's hamlet. The Grand Trianon is a smaller palace made of pink marble, and Emma is charmed by its simplicity and elegance. She imagines it as a peaceful retreat for the royals. At the hamlet, Emma sees a different side of Versailles. The small village was built for Marie Antoinette as a place to escape the formality of palace life. The thatched cottages and farm animals create a cozy and rustic atmosphere. Emma enjoys walking around the hamlet, taking photos of the picturesque scenery. As the afternoon turns into evening, Emma heads back to the main palace for one last look. She stands in the courtyard, feeling a sense of awe and gratitude. The palace glows under the golden light of the setting sun, creating a magical moment. Emma decides to have dinner at a nearby restaurant before returning to Paris. She finds a charming bistro and orders a classic French meal, coq au vin, and a glass of wine. The food is delicious, and Emma takes her time to savor each bite. During dinner, Emma reflects on her trip to Versailles and the amazing experiences she has had in France. She feels proud of herself for exploring a new country and learning about its history and culture. She also feels grateful for the memories she has created. After dinner, Emma takes the train back to Paris. The city feels familiar now, like a second home. As she walks to her hotel, she thinks about all the wonderful places she has visited and the adventures she has had. Back in her room, Emma starts packing her things for her journey home. She carefully places her souvenirs in her suitcase, including the small painting from Montmartre and postcards from the Eiffel Tower. Each item holds a special memory. Emma writes one last entry in her journal, describing her visit to Versailles and the emotions she felt throughout her trip. She knows this journey has changed her in many ways, making her more confident and curious about the world. As Emma lies in bed, she feels a mix of emotions. She is sad to leave Paris, but excited to return home and share her stories with family and friends. She closes her eyes, dreaming of the day she will return to this beautiful city. The next morning, Emma heads to the airport with her suitcase and a heart full of memories. As the plane takes off, she looks out the window at the city below, promising herself she will come back someday. Paris has become a part of her, and she knows she will carry its magic with her forever.